Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. What if I told you that you could become a professional gamer today? That a contract is really not your end goal? What if right now your journey has already started and you can influence a scene more than you realize? Today I want to talk about a topic I do not see much information online yet again, because we are making history and the scene is forever evolving and growing at an accelerated rate. That there is a massive mistake being made by those trying to make their way in currently into this scene. Think of this as an equation of being a professional gamer, knowing this equation is constantly shifting, such as your reputation, mastery of skill, networking, mindset, can all equal becoming a professional gamer. Then perhaps the smallest portion at this time is compensation, which we can discuss later, because in reality only 1% of the overall professional gaming scene are compensated, only for professional gaming and making a living out of the situation of only doing one said thing. But this means that there are tons of others who are just as qualified. Anyone can pay you money to game. I mean, I'm sure there's a lovely person watching this video who could literally pay someone $50 a month just to game and sign a contract made in Word, which at times has already been done. Maybe someone has gone to an event, expense paid. You get paid $100 a month by a small organization. Well, on an annual basis, that is only $1,200. This is maybe round up for a trip paid $2,500 a year. I mean, anyone can easily in the long run make this money, and even the lowest paid job make way more. But don't get discouraged, because this is the building phase of esports, where you can shape history and have many different roles that of course need to be filled. We're going to dive into the overall thought process. I have overall years of experience running teams, seeing the back end of esports, reviewing contracts, being there at the start when esports and games is being built, hosting tournaments, and even providing in-depth feedback to help build out a game for esports. I feel confident I can share more on the subject of what I've seen, especially working with individuals who are going into the esports scene. We often see the mistake of either a young, ambitious gamer running into the scene seeking a piece of paper, or we see those hopping into the scene without a proper knowledge of how the scene works. I bet in a few years this whole concept will continue to evolve, and that is definitely expected. We're going to discuss the mindset and your reputation as some of the most impactful portions currently of being a professional, especially with how new in retrospect the scene is. Let's imagine for a moment you're at the start of basketball and it's 1890. Passionate players are learning and playing for the first time ever. No one has considered that basketball could be a full-time gig. The first game of basketball was played in March 11th, 1892, and the first game under the NBA was November 1st, 1946. This really highlights how long it took for the scene to evolve and grow. It continued to take leaps and bounds from there. Many who made a full-time job from it even. Gaming in general has started to take off and evolve now at a faster rate than we have ever seen, with even the games they are shifting and constantly changing and evolving. This was over 50 years of hard work and dedication before things evolved into literally just the start of today. Every scene is built out this way. Even when it comes to outside the sports realm, and even in the acting realm of Hollywood, your reputation and mindset is more impactful as an actor and performer than getting paid. Who cares if you're paid if no one wants to work with you, and once that contract or gig is up, who cares if you're the most talented actor in the world if working with you is really difficult? Life is short. We all know those Hollywood stories. So your status as a quote-unquote professional is short-lived. This is really your goal after years of work for it to end before it really even began? Everyone looks at being a professional as being compensated, and therein lies the issue. What is the definition of being a professional? Is it a person engaged or qualified in a profession? Or perhaps a person engaged in a specified activity, especially a sport or branch of the performing arts, as a main paid occupation rather than a pastime? Or a person competent or skilled in a particular activity? Notice even the definition can vary. We dig further, what about the definition of a master of the craft? It's having somebody showcase very great skill or proficiency, or acquire complete knowledge or skill in an accomplishment, technique, or art. What is the most fascinating part of this? You see someone who is the highest level of skill, yet someone of lower skill is paid $200 a month to an organization as a start of that new game that is building out esports. Both are competing and participating to a high degree in the scene. Who is the professional? The master of their craft, or the person who networked and got paid? Was it through his networking, reputation, and hard work, through individuals that made him a clear professional? Or is it the master of said craft that makes that person a clear definition of a professional? There's a part of the definition of being a professional that moves on of not being paid and is no longer a pastime that moves into the realm of a professional. But we have seen time and time again, being a professional does not mean that person is qualified or more qualified than somebody else. And of course, those who consider making those individuals qualified at this stage in the game is even changing immensely. Imagine for a moment you are back in time 10 years ago and the difference in that time span of those who are continuing to play professionally and those whose careers were very short-lived. Even when we see money flowing and making an impact, we see today, as the world continues to delve further into esports, some professionals are opting more for public figureheads and influence through personality and marketing. Usually this is because of the stability compared to the unfortunate nature of esports currently. This is not to downplay or discourage, but perhaps find it reinvigorating to realize how much potential there is currently in the scene. The difficulty lies in esports, where we see the game constantly shift and change. Unlike basketball, the concept always remains the same. The rules have changed throughout the decades, but the concept is still relatively the same. Unfortunately for gaming, we have a full spectrum in terms of what gaming means, which there are wide concepts where it's from an MMO to a real-time strategy game, FPS, aka first-person shooter, or perhaps further beyond. Now, unfortunately, those rules and patches to those said games are constantly changing as they are much more complex and even implement new rules on what that game comes with the new set content. This means the masters are constantly shifting, as those who adapt the fastest are those who capitalize. This provides ample opportunity for new stars to rise, which is the most exciting part of knowing that there's potential of making it. Also, those who master their branding and social media start to earn and build up the largest influence, even those who only master their craft. Because individuals take a different spectrum and blend mastering their craft with marketing, as this builds another part of the equation. So let's really look at the equation of becoming a professional gamer again. I mean, ideally, you need to have mastery of a skill. This is a first step of being noticed. You can trade off a portion of the skill for reputation, work ethic, and of course a strong mindset, because a master of skill can be taught and learned to a degree. With your reputation is how you get your foot in the door, and that door slams shut if your reputation is not a positive one. It's through your skills you build an initial reputation, but hopefully it's built upon a strong mindset, work ethic, and of course positivity. Let's look at the other side of the spectrum. There is a possibility of being built on negativity, because any press is good press, right? Good and bad. Perhaps you're so bad that you just get paid to game because it's just, quite frankly, entertaining. Let us say you are very negative and outrageous, and we've seen some within the scene and eyes just can't help but pay attention to. This always comes with less wanting to work with you, but can be a brand. It has its own mental toll. It can be harder to build a name as it does shut doors through your network. Overall, though, you have to network. Networking is very vital because once you get your foot in the door from your reputation, you need to continue to build connections. This all builds what a professional is. You really should look at every single person you interact with as a colleague, because the scene is just building out. You never know who's going to make it in the scene and become a big name. They could become a big name overnight, and you cannot succeed unless one of the parts of the equation is pushed to a high degree. So let's discuss some of those variables. Just give some examples. You can have the highest level of skill and never make it because nothing else comes because of your reputation not being easy to work with, or you just don't network and don't build your brand. You can have the highest reputation, but perhaps your skill is not quite there to justify pushing the next extra mile. But let's say you have the perfect network and your dad works at Microsoft, but still don't have the full part of the puzzle in terms of skill. Realize that salary is a portion, but at this time is usually the smallest portion that matters because you can get your money from literally anywhere. It is something that you do with your passion that really defines you. So become a professional gamer today and build out the equation and start to take flight, because there's opportunities out there that are ample and available, and the scene is definitely full of money. It is so new that anyone can really come out and define the scene. We've seen it already happen, and hills and valleys of the scene already occur. It is an exciting time to be alive and be a part and realize that it's being built out though. You build it through branding, social media, tournaments, networking, showcasing your skill in some public way, or simply just game and building conversations that spread like wildfire. Remember, it's much easier to be inspired, but the hardest thing is to be the inspiration. Make your mark today.